I just want to come back to this because our viewers would be very interested in your thoughts on this, because a stack of Australian miners and manufacturers and industry financiers, 17 of them, are calling for more ambitious climate reform to meet the goal of the Paris Agreement and limit global warming to 1.5 degrees. I mean, do these outfits, BHP, Rio Tinto, Woodside, BP, Fortescue, Wesfarmers, Westpac, do they know what they're talking about? Or are they saying one thing in the public place because they're frightened of the government, and behind the scenes are saying something else?
Well, there is another factor there with those large companies that are publicly listed. The superannuation funds and investment funds based in London have their ESG hooks into them, and this has been a phenomenon right across the Western world, that to get finance from these groups, they have to act, or at least perceive to be acting, in a woke fashion to do so. So the ESG acronym, Alan, has to be renamed. It's meant to stand for environmental, social, governance, all these warm and fuzzy things. It actually means extreme shortages guaranteed. That's what's happening across the Western world from companies that are following ESG principles. They're not investing in oil and gas and the things you need to provide not just adequate manufacturing goods, but also food. People forget that about half the world's food comes from fertilizers made by natural gas. And you have the remarkable situation now where the facility, the BASF facility in Germany that invented urea, the thing that's revolutionized the world, it shut down in the last few months because of Germany's insane green policies that have pushed up energy costs and made it impossible for Western nations now to grow their own food. So Western countries are reliant on Russia, the Middle East, and China, who are the biggest producers of urea in the world. And in a few months' time, by the end of this year, Alan, we won't in Australia produce any urea in this country. We will be reliant for about half our foods production on other nations, and that's an absolute disgrace in a country that has such abundant energy and natural resources.
Oh, just coming back to our viewers, what's happening here is Australia's, I repeat, 215 biggest polluters, quote unquote, will be forced by legislation to cut their carbon footprint by about 5% a year until the end of the decade, to deliver about a third of the cuts needed to reach Bowen's 2013 climate goal. And that's all okay, no problems. But the rest of the world continues on with increased carbon dioxide emissions. It's unbelievable, this stuff, and it's dangerous and it's damaging, and the government is not telling us the truth. Matt, I've said from day one, just to finish up, this is an economic suicide note. Why should I change my mind?
Well, it is a real problem. I just want to come back to one thing about China too. Not only is this a complete fraud on the Australian people, it's a scam perpetuated by the Chinese Communist Party. I mean, they have been going around the world promoting this fact that we should do these things and paying lip service to climate agreements, saying they will do something on climate. As I say, then they go around and build coal-fired power stations like they're going out of fashion. And how can we not see here that this is just a total scam here, that they are, of course, perpetuating the West's somewhat self-delusional suicide tendencies here to advantage themselves. And instead of putting handicaps on our own industry, what we should be doing is taking action against China's illegal actions to support its own manufacturing industries. Absolutely. And undercut and undermine Western manufacturing. Absolutely. So today we've got this ridiculous thing of the Albanese government dropping our WTO action on barley, which was kind of nothing anyway. Why don't we put tariffs on Chinese steel? Yes. Like, fight fire with fire. These guys, they're massively subsidising their steel industry, completely at odds with international trade agreements. We have the absolute right and now the moral case to act on that and respond with actual fire, rather than these meek efforts where we say, we're going to take you to court, we're going to write you a letter. They'll never get any change from China to do that.